everywhere. Guys, hello. Let me open up the chat here so I can see as people start to join a little earlier. Hello, everybody. Boom, boom, boom. If you are in here, say hello in le chat as you start to come in. Cosmic, what's up? DNS999, hello. We are going to get our Illustrious on today with ShrekMan, who I also feel like is an appropriate guest given how big Shrek 5 is trending right now. It was serendipity. By the time when we scheduled this stream weeks ago, I hadn't. Who knew that Shrek 5 would be trending the same week?
I have no idea that those are two things that I have no idea will cause drama. Release of Illustrious 1.0 and release of Shrek 5.
Your two favorite things.
I not expect that Shrek 5 will turn out like this.
All right, give me a second here. Let me make sure we're good on LinkedIn. And not Engelstein said if he's got a cat, it could be. I see what you did there. Engelstein. All right, we'll give everyone else just a couple more minutes so people can start coming on in here. I know I have a habit of starting these things a couple minutes early, but we'll give everyone a few more minutes because we are not quite there yet. Good. Shrek, you can just you can just leave your screen on like that, and then after I do the official intro, once we get rolling, then I'll bring your screen on.
Okay.
Yeah. So
do you see screen already? But it's not streamed yet, right? Yes.
Yeah, I can see it on my side. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Guys, we're going to give everyone just another minute or two since it actually just hit the top of the hour to get on in here for those that are going to join. And then we will get going because I am going to learn just as much as you guys today because as you all know, I am a Flux enjoyer and he is the illustrious master. So, okay. Looks like we just got the nice big old influx in Twitch. So, guys, hello. Welcome to a Friday Civitai guest creator session. My name is Tyler. Today, I am joined for round 2 of Illustrious and getting our skills up in Illustrious by none other than ShrekMan17, who is currently what are all your leaderboard positions right now, man? Give us the credentials.
I actually stopped caring at this point at leaderboard. I tried in February I was top one because I converted a bunch of my pony concepts into Illustrious, and I feel, as far as I know, I yesterday was top 9, and now it displays no longer displays my concepts positions. Now it displays me as top 12 mature creator, and I don't know it's something I should talk that much about out that stream.
Well, either way, all you need to know is that this man trains so many LoRAs that it is insane, and he definitely knows his stuff. So, and even Engelstein said in the chat something you said to me before we started streaming, which just further confirms it. He said, yeah, honestly, since working with Illustrious, I haven't used Pony since. And that was literally what you said to me just before we went live. So, guys, without further ado, I'm going to kind of turn this over to ShrekMan. He's going to tell you what we're talking about today, and I will intervene as I see fit, but I want to learn whatever he has to teach, and I'm sure you guys do too. So, ShrekMan, what are we talking about today?
So today I'm gonna bring up how I made the style LoRas that are not relying on the existing artist styles. Uh, how I'm my very buzz intensive process of generating my own style LoRas, and I have two LoRas like that I think I extremely successful for since I started doing this. It was they are all made out of my entirely out of my Flux generations, and I brought up this um, Flux generations and turned it into Illustrious LoRas, and I feel it makes okay. I'm streaming the frog screen.
I love
Uh,
the infinite window. I love when we get a good infinite window. Whoa, that my friend is a red background wallpaper. That is how do you stay relaxed at all when you're at your computer with a wallpaper that is that red? My brain would constantly be on fight mode.
I'm usually I'm usually have both both screens covered by stuff, so I rarely look at my wallpaper. And before uh, before about 1 month ago, I still was using the default Windows wallpaper, and in the meanwhile, I by mistake clicked on one of my generated images, set it as wallpaper, and I was not bothered enough to check how to turn back into the original wallpaper. So I just put Chains of Man wallpaper and went for first image that I like. This
All
is
right,
the whole
Shrekman,
process.
just some housekeeping real quick. Let's make sure that our our settings on Civitai are at PG-13.
Of course.
Let's double. Okay, perfect, perfect. Just had to make sure because yeah, just had to make sure. And then yeah, man. Looking at the chat, sounds like people are excited to learn because even Inglestein said he had an illustrious style aura that came out terrible. So yeah, let's dive in and let's see what the secret is here.
The secret is that I figure simplicity of Illustros. Don't consider myself a master in any way, but I think the Illustros is so simple that you can make a great LoRa by accident. As far as I remember, Kiev Tiger had an article that was titled just like that, how I made a great LoRa by accident, and this is basically how I will describe most of my process in the making Illustrious LoRas. But all I think you should know while doing Illustrious LoRa is that the Danbooru tag system that you something that I dive a bit deeper since last stream is when uh, I already knew that you have to look at Danbooru tags when you doing something that you know that should have existing tag, but uh, so technically, if something has over 100 results on Danbooru, Illustrious should generate it as a model itself. But some tags have some wide application, like let's say uh, tied hair. This is because basically every form of tying will get this tag. So this tag basically means nothing because yes, it has over 10,000 results, but it's basically applied to everything. So tags like sometimes you have to fight against Illustrious the base tags, and sometimes sometimes they help. So I still have to figure out how it is optimal to fight with your LoRa's against the base Danbooru, or should I think Schmidt brought that up when he was talking about Flux. That every model knows its stuff by itself, and you have to think about it. That the idea of the model, does it help you or disrupt the process of what you're trying to do? Something some things for Illustrious completely and for Flux and basically for every model don't need LoRa. They will generate the stuff up without any help. Sometimes base model will generate something, but it will get lost when you add more LoRa's. And sometimes you actually have to fight against what is baked into the model and the LoRa's that you're trying to the LoRa you're trying to do, because you could make a LoRa that has a shared tag with something that is like the tied hair, so it users has a very strong opinion what this thing should be about, and you are trying to make a model with 30 images that tries to fight against 10,000 images of base Illustrious. So it is always worth it to try to generate what you want on from your LoRa without the LoRa before you start making it, to see, one, is the LoRa actually needed, and do you need to fight against the model, or it will actually help you?
So how do we figure out how to strike that balance?
Basically, by trial and error. You just first of all, you just need to test with base Illustrious to see is you just like I said, you will see that LoRa is even needed.
So is that what you always do before you go to train a LoRa? You always generate with the base model first, and then figure out what does come across and what doesn't, and then does that help either dictate like your data set or the tags that you use?
For some concepts, for some, a lot of my LoRa's are unique enough that I know that tags like that don't exist, but it's always worth to check it. That you actually can be surprised what people made tags for. And something and what I actually really like about Danbooru, I actually won't open it on stream in this time because I forgot to change Danbooru settings to be PG-13. Is that Danbooru suggests you what you can mean and how the tag is called on site. So if you bring something that has very close meaning, Danbooru will actually suggest you how it's tagged on site. So knowing that the data comes from Danbooru helps and disrupts you at the same time, because you just have to know how good those Illustrious understand the tags. Because something can be just like I said, like the tied hair. Because just putting a hairpin into your hair, it is already tied hair for Illustrious. So it can understand it both as having a hairpin and having a ponytail. Both of those things are tied hair for Illustrious. So tags like that have over 10,000 outcomes, but are basically a nothing burger. So this is the main example I came out with when you're actually fighting against the base tag. And in general, I think it's very, very hard to make a hairstyle LoRa's. That's something I would like to do in the future, but I'm not. I'm going to the barber like once a year before a job interview, and that's and this is my knowledge about the hairstyles.
So I know we
But
talked about this. I know we talked about this last stream, but we actually had a question from YouTube that asks, how many images on average do you aim to have in your data set for Illustrious?
I will say last stream I will say before 30 to 50. It's basically between 30 to 50 is most of the LoRa's will turn out pretty good, but the more uh, the more problematic is tag for the model, the more images you should bring up. So when I tried to make oil paint and any more realistic stuff into Illustrious with something like 30 images, those LoRa's were usually horrible. And the LoRa's that will be the main subject today, it has 77. So I would say it usually is between 30 to 50, but against stubborn concepts, you bringing more images increase the chances that the LoRa will be successful. I don't think it is worth it to go above 80. But let's say that 30 is the bare minimum for a pretty good and flexible LoRa, and above 80 is the moment I don't think it's worth it to go above it if you want to train just one concept. And if you have multiple concepts into one LoRa, it is basically between 30 to 50 for each concept.
And do you always train your LoRa's? And this is from another question from YouTube. Do you always train your LoRa's on the Illustrious base model, or do you ever train it on a different trained Illustrious checkpoint?
I'm doing every training on site, and as far as I know, we are still doing on site training on Illustrious 0.1.
Gotcha.
I'm still waiting, still waiting for it to be clear how it will turn out when 1.0 will be the main model for training. But as far as I know, even Diali doesn't know that when we got actually gonna get it on site.
And if Ali doesn't know, then I definitely will not even try to assume. Ali is the
Yes.
master of that part. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure the people would love to see some examples or some kind of like how you're tagging. So like this oil painting one, for example, that you have on your screen. How were you able to capture the style in the LoRa here?
So usually when doing a style, all I'm is basically just go with one tag and let it go. With the oil painting, the only difference was that I added tag for the style and oil painting. It was just two tags and they ran auto tagging on site, and this was basically the whole process of training the LoRa. After generating my data at Flux. So this shadow heart that is present on screen, it is generated with just one LoRa. This style LoRa that I traded out of Flux images, and Illustrious model. This is all it takes to get a result like that from Illustrious. So that's the way. My main reasons that Illustrious is basically my main model at this moment. It is so easy to get the quality stuff out of Illustrious, and it is for a fraction of the cost that you will need to generate something like Flux. Because making this LoRa cost me like 20k bus or something like that to generate the stuff up from Flux to have the dataset. So it's something that
Oh, so you
sadly,
okay? So the data set for this for this specific oil painting LoRa in Illustrious, you generated the data set in Flux.
yes. And I think
Cool.
it turned out to be one of the best for. I haven't found the oil painting LoRa for Illustrious that I like enough, so I tried to do it myself, and I think it may be one of the best oil painting LoRas that are currently on site. And I absolutely have no expectation that Illustrious version will be that good. I have made this LoRa expecting it will be mostly a Flux thing. But it's not only turned out really good, but I think it makes Illustrious kinda look like a Flux a bit.
Which isn't a bad thing, right?
Yes, I think the Flux, um, while making Illustrious and Flux my main models, mostly Illustrious, because it's way more popular and it's way easier to do Illustrious LoRa that will bring you some success than Flux LoRa. Making Flux LoRa is basically burning bus, but at this point, I can burn bus for fun, and
So can you are you able to show us what some of the data set for this one and
of course.
what some of the captions look like, so that I think
Uh,
it'll help everyone kind of understand a little bit better what we're talking about here.
the coins are for another LoRa that I will most likely gonna train after stream. So this is the data for the third version. It has actually 78. The version that I was training before stream was version 2.0 of this model. This one had 77.
Okay, and did you generate all the images in squares, or did you do mixed aspect ratios?
Mixed. They were mixed.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. And these are these, did you use a Flux LoRa when generating these, or are these all from the base model?
Those are a mix of three style LoRa's while using Flux. And I have another LoRa that follows the same process as this one. So I basically took three style LoRa's at Flux and make a dataset this way with the gigantic list of prepared captions that I can basically spam those Flux generations and pick the best ones for a dataset.
Well, DNS was out here thinking he needed 150 plus images thrown into the data set for the LoRa to come out good.
As far as I remember, I have only two LoRa's recently that have over 100 images, because one was basically a limit testing for how many characters you can put into a style LoRa. Into a LoRa that will caption both style and characters from the show. So it's basically the story that I told you at Discord. Someone put a 60k bus bounty for just Atom Eve from Invincible. So when something like that, I think if he will get just Atom Eve LoRa for 60k bus, that will be a scam for the guy that felt like the guy was scamming himself. That I basically reached the point when I don't have to think about bus. When I last at the last stream, I barely have 3k bus. Now now as you can see, I have over 100k. You can see now because I'm now showing you a dataset. So it's of course thanks to mostly not safe for work LoRa's. They bring the most buzz, of course. They basically found my whole account, so I can like burn 50k buzz a day and don't feel and have I have not paid for a single buzz out of that 50k.
So if you guys need more buzz, make more NSFW LoRa's. You didn't hear it from me.
Yes, it is. I have 390 LoRa's at this point. 79 are not safe for work LoRa's, and those LoRa's are basically all my buzz income.
So how are we capturing the style from these without capturing like without getting stuck with these characters, since the pictures are all very character centric?
It kind of has this character elements into a Flux LoRa's, but all it takes is a good variety of those images. So if I would go for 30, that will really make the Illustrious and future Flux generation really look like that. But the more images I have added, the more variety it takes and focuses on the style. So if I will just use the one prompt and go and like use the same outcome like 5 times, it will for sure try to replicate the same characters. But with the bigger dataset, like the 70 images, I think it perfectly captures the style and even has the Flux source element and in the Illustrious version. That I think is actually a really good thing, because you can when you use Flux a lot, you can see see which images are generated with Flux, and basically no matter how many style LoRa's you add to Flux, I think the base Flux style is something that you can notice no matter what when you use Flux as your mind model.
Just rewinding for a second. So you're saying that if you're trying to capture a style rather than characters, it's better to have the larger data set so that there's like a broader spectrum for it to focus on when it comes to the style, and it doesn't get so fixated on the character?
Yes. Oh, this one has 6 fingers. The main thing that I want to avoid is basically
it's all good, man. The more fingers, the better. We like that stuff around here.
Yes. But the less of them is in the dataset, the better. But I
so let's give us some examples of the of like the captions that followed these into the LoRa trainer, so that people can see how. Okay, so
this is my gigantic file of for Flux spamming. I already have here most of my Flux prompts that was saved to generate the fantasy styles, because when you're trying to make the style yourself, I'm always sticking to the theme that I want this style to replicate. So I think in this style actually we for sure can have problems when you try to get a sci-fi or something more futuristic, because all of my images kept the dark fantasy theme, because it's my that was what I wanted. So keeping the theme this time was a good thing. So it will be a good, really good for generating a dark fantasy. But it for sure struggle with futuristic stuff. But this is what this is what I wanted from this LoRa. So just pick when you're trying to make a dataset like that. Just pick your theme and stick to it, and it will most likely do what is intended to do.
Gotcha. And so, do you you're running the images through a tagger, right? To auto tag it, or
Yes, for style, you really don't need anything more than auto tagging. Basically, I am not doing auto tagging only for the Flux concepts. The Flux concepts are something that I describe by myself most of the time. Like now, I've noticed there is. I randomly got the idea to make the LoRa that will create the coins with the images of characters. So that is LoRa's like that already exist for SDXL as the basically very old SD models and for Pony, and they don't exist for Flux and Illustrious. So I'm gonna make the Illustrious and Flux version. So for Illustrious it will be just auto tagging, and for Flux I actually want to take the coins that have a text on it. So the Flux version will create the coins with the text. I just forget what we are talking about because I sidetracked to the coin LoRa.
yeah, no. Just so when you are sorry, I'm keeping track of all the chats, and the screens are all going crazy. So this LoRa had 77 images. What tagger are you using? Do you what are you running them through to generate your captions?
Can you rephrase that because I did not
Yeah.
understand.
How do you come up with the captions for the data set before you train it? What's your
I
what's your process there? Because I think where a lot of people
you
probably are getting lost or getting bad results is probably the way that they're tagging their data set before training it.
mm, like for to pull after I created this dataset, all it took is is to tag with oil paint and tile for a style tag specific tag for a style. That is all it took, and then let auto tagger do its work.
Okay, so literally just let auto tagger do its thing on site, the auto tagger on site, and then in front of everything you put oil paint and then the specific tag to call it.
Yes, and those are the only two tags that I cared about. So I used to keep tokens and set it at 2, and then used shuffle tags, and it basically ran auto tagger, and that's all it takes for a style loras. The more description, the thing that requires most description are the Flux concepts. Basically, everything else the is the is using the auto tagger and letting it run.
So
For
you guys
Illustros, yes, for Illustros, it's usually all it takes.
you guys hear that? That sounds a lot simpler than I thought it was. But so okay, here's a big question I have about Illustrious, and this is mainly because the reason why I like Flux is because I feel like I have so much control because it can usually get things right based on how I describe it in plain language, and I'm good at describing stuff that way. But how do you control the compositional elements in things like Illustrious when the tags are all just the one words? Like, is the composition always something kind of like random that you're just living with, or you're rolling until you get a composition that you really like? Or do you have to use a LoRA if you want a particular composition of the image? Or are there certain tags that will change the composition? And when I say composition, I mean the way that the character is framed, or the way that the character is standing, or are those just random elements?
And the thing about how I control is I don't. I just let it, I'm basically letting Illustrious do its own style stuff, but to get the certain composition you can help Illustrious by just uh, putting tags like a focus, male focus, portrait, cowboy shot. It basically all that it requires for the compositions. But the thing I like about Illustrious over mostly over Pony, that if you don't put all the composition tags, like let's say a cowboy shot, Pony, uh, and you let it go, let Illustrious do its thing, Illustrious will give you very successful different compositions. So I like to keep it, let it do its thing rather than telling it what's to do. I just letting Illustrious do the random Illustrious stuff. So I think this is what Illustrious excels, that you just putting a very simple description, and because how good is this model, it will just do its own thing, and most of the results, and you will be happy with most of the results. Illustrious is the simplest model to use out of every AI model that I used ever, and I started from Pony. And when I feel like for Pony that I need like 5 different LoRa's each generation, then for Illustrious, I'm just putting one LoRa and I'm getting amazing results.
Gotcha. Okay. So and also shout out to Clumsy Trainer who's in the chat right now. So Clumsy said that if it's similar to SDXL, you basically use tags to generate things you need and roll until it looks good.
Yes,
The framing and composition will usually come from what is in the data set.
exactly. Yes, I can completely confirm what Clumsy said. It is just like that. You pay because if you are talking about on-site generations, the on-site generations for SDXL models, it is so cheap that you basically just rolling a dice and waiting for natural 20. That's basically
Gotcha.
what
And that's where
how it.
that's where the concept Laura's come in, like the like just like the specific things that you might want a character doing. If it's something very specific that is not in the base data set that you can't just get from a prompt, then you would gather your data set together and train it. So okay, for something in Illustrious, like let's take, I'm looking at your model page right now, and let's take one for example. Let me find an example that isn't that is safe for me to say on stream. Hold on one second.
Are
Okay,
you?
so
Do you have the PG-13?
I
Because
do. I do.
okay,
It's all
because
good. I'm just
yes,
scrolling for a second.
if you
Okay,
want,
here we go.
will
So I'm gonna share my screen real quick.
if you
So
will don't have a PG-13 filter on, you will see entirely 2 different profiles.
okay, so for example, oh wait, where'd it go since I just made it? Here we go. Okay, so for this one, the excessive anime nosebleed. How many images did you put in this one, and where did you get this particular data set from? Because this seems hyper specific.
Uh, this is basically what the data set for that was basically putting anime nosebleed at YouTube, Google, and Pinterest, and looking for the best one when it's have the effect that is like that. So Illustrious for sure knows what nosebleed looks like. This is this is something that you can be guaranteed that Illustrious knows the concept of nosebleed. But because I wanted to make it exactly this stupid, I was I was looking for images when basic have the fountain of blood coming out of the nose.
I think
And
this one is really good. I think this is a really great kind of like capture of it.
yes, so this LoRa had the main point to exactly be excessive and stupid. So that was what I was looking for a dataset.
How many images did you end up needing before that one captured?
Just the 30. And
30. Okay. Then even
dynamic
something.
nosebleed.
So
Yes, Master Roshi was on the dataset.
so and I understand that this is like an anime expression, but with Illustrious, because I understand that Illustrious doesn't quite excel at realistic renders, right? Obviously, Flux is better for realism, but
unless you're using a very realistic checkpoint, but they have other problems that I can think about later, that I can talk about later. And this LoRa that you have currently on screen, it was it actually has the first version had was just this one character. It was Yor from Spike's family. This is exactly why it is called called how it is. And it basically was making other characters to replicate this expression from Spike's family. But the first version was making characters really look like your because it was her expression, and expressions are the LoRa's that takes the least images to replicate those because meme models basically follow the same principle. Yeah, because you are focusing on the expressions, you don't need that much images, but you need a strong description of them. This so this is the case when you don't when it's not just using one tag and let auto tagger run. You have to get pretty good at describing what you actually want to come out of this LoRa, and in this case, it's replicating the expression.
okay, so here's a question. For these illustrious concepts where it's like, let's say it was something that wasn't nosebleed, which is obviously something that's very hyper anime specific, right? But let's say you had a particular pose or concept from real images. Would you be able to train the concept LoRa from real images into Illustrious, and then would Illustrious be able to generate that concept in the anime and the cartoons and stuff?
Yes, that's basically what you described is that LoRa that I showed at last stream, that dog photo bomb. It has only realistic images, and it still was easy. It is pretty old at this point. So I will just.
Oh,
So I think it's
I
what
saw it. I passed it. I passed it. It was. Let me just
Mhm.
scroll a little. I will find it. Maybe maybe it's because the way I have your stuff filtered. Let me see. I swear I saw dog photo bomb relatively. Here it is. Boom.
I just sent you on the chat. So I probably gonna retrain this one after I got it running. And can you please click at Illustrious versions?
Oh, gotcha.
Even
Okay.
yes, even though it was almost entire, not almost, it was completely all of photorealistic data. It is it. I feel it still gets better results at making anime version than generating realistic ones,
It
because
definitely seems like that.
yes, even though the data set is completely realistic, I still feel it have done better job at anime version. But I
Gotcha.
can try.
And we had a question from Open Room XYZ that said, "Well, is it possible to make money by training interesting LoRa's?" Well, you can definitely make buzz on the site. I would say, as far as like training, training LoRa's feels really like a labor of love. If you are notoriable and you build up your social and all that kind of stuff, I do know that people get hired to train specific LoRa's for brands and clients and stuff like that, but I wouldn't say that that's like a thing to like bank on. Would you say I'm accurate with that?
Yes, because before I discovered what early putting not safe for work early access LoRa that are doing to your bus account, I was just basically burning money. Now all I need is to get the membership and all, and the not safe for work LoRa sponsor everything that's bus related on site. I'm just yes, it is just, I would say it's just stupid how much of my bus income comes from, let's say, for work or Loras after making over 200, over 300 Loras. It's basically all all it takes is not say for work Lora to sponsor the full account.
Does Illustrious do good with the two characters if you use two different character LoRa's in the generation, or do they like cross over a lot?
Yes, they cross over, but there are better workflows to do it, and I don't think it, it's really hard to get it on site, but it is of course possible. But it's rather, if you want to use two character loras, it is better to go with different workloads that we have on site, because they will for sure clash, and some loras
Gotcha.
can completely overpower the other.
Gotcha.
I I
D,
tried
D,
to generate with this, and it did not came out that well.
DNS, I appreciate an honest man. I appreciate an honest man. Furry Laura's make up the cost for any of my projects. Sometimes, man, you got to do what you got to do to fund the passion.
Yes, because most and thanks to making those loras, I basically can make something like that. That those generated those Flux dataset cost me like over 20k pass, and that's not something that the average user on site can do. Like that, putting just a lot of pre-save Flux prompts and just spamming it to make a star LoRa. But it's very effective at making a good.
You could also employ my strategy and pump out a bunch of random anime character Lauras and don't put any pretty pictures in the galleries, so everyone thinks they're trash, but they actually end up being really good.
Yes, it is just because Flux is really good at capturing the stuff, and Flux is for sure the best that in something like when you have training anime characters, put only put only anime images, and it Flux can for sure go realistic from that. And the dog for sure needs an update because it is still really hard to get the good pictures using this LoRa. But this one already tries to get what I want. It gets the idea. It gets the dog photo bomb. It gets where that is oil painting, but it's not for sure not the best outcomes that I got from Illustrious. This is based. This is basically looks like the first iteration of AI that we got. That for the
I
current
mean,
standard is basically a nightmare fuel.
I mean, it has a certain charm to it. It
Yes,
definitely has a certain charm to it.
yes, but and then you look at something like that, and you don't think it came out of the same generation.
Is there's not rapid training for Illustrious, right? There's only rapid training for Flux.
Yes.
Gotcha. Last night I used the rapid trainer for the first time because I was trying to make the Shrek thing, and there was no Flux LoRa for Donkey.
Yes. I was
And
thinking about doing it, but you did it first.
well, wait, check this out. Let me go back to my screen real quick. So this was what Flux made with the Fugler LoRa, right? When I was trying to get Donkey in the dentist chair. This was default. Wait, is this the first one? Okay, this was default Flux Donkey with the Fugler LoRa, and I was like, okay, that's kind of a donkey, but no one's going to recognize that as the donkey from Shrek, right?
Yes, yeah.
Kind of, sort of. This one has the Shrek vest on, but again, not quite donkey. Definitely not that one.
Yes.
Definitely not that guy. And so I was like, you know what? I wasn't planning on training a LoRa, but I went on Pinterest. I grabbed 11 images of donkey.
I suggest you to refresh the page because of what LoRa is currently on screen.
Oh, here, you know what? We'll just do this. So it's okay. It's okay. The chat likes the furries. It's okay. So
no, I thinking about them getting Civitai banned on Twitch.
No,
but I don't
know. But then after I got the I did the rapid train, then I was like, okay, this actually looks like donkey, and it literally took 5 minutes to get that get that LoRa, and then once I got the grills on donkey, then it was like, okay, now we're talking.
Yes, the donkey is actually a good example of what it is that explaining to the model what do you want versus what model knows by itself, because the donkey does not have a specific name. It's just the donkey. So when you putting donkey in Flux, it does not think about the donkey from Shrek. It takes, because it for sure has the more data from the real donkeys. So it's not gonna recognize that specific donkey that is called donkey. Because
I made sure. So because I was in a rush, I let the auto tagger do its thing. I quickly scanned over them. I was like, okay, I think this is mostly fine. We'll just go with it. I did make sure to put the token donkey, except with the with like a 3 instead of a E. And then it just like it clearly I was satisfied with the donkey LoRa. Especially since it only took 5 minutes.
Characters and styles are very easy to do. Basically, those are the only things that I will go for. That I can say it is possible to train the Flux LoRa with the tags instead of captions. Like this is the style LoRa that I was talking about. that was basically a limit testing how many characters I can put into LoRa, that it will be good at that I can train it outside. And
So
I
you
think
got you got 20 characters in here.
almost 30, but that includes the characters alternate outfits. Like this LoRa has like 3 versions of Mark the Invincible and like 4 versions of Atom Eve. So this LoRa had over 800 images, and it was 10,000 steps LoRa. So it basically is the absolute limit of what you can put on site training. And I basically wanted to see uh, uh, what is the optimal number of characters that you can put at LoRa's like that.
Gotcha. And if you don't call the specific character, then it'll just do the style.
Yes, this one. So I while making this LoRa, got I got a lot pretty good insight of what is the limit of getting of style and characters at the same LoRa. Because it gets some characters really good. Some are basically they have existing tag, but they are barely functional. So, like in this, I think the good example are. First of all, have you watched Invincible, or this is?
Yes. Yes.
Of
No,
course.
I have.
Yeah.
I hope you all have watched Invincible.
So what the character I consider failed for this one is duplicate. So because the duplicate shares a lot of tags with Debbie, because both model already knows how to describe them. It is basically an Asian female. So it the yes, it has a very long
Look at
list of
all
tags.
those trigger words. Look at all those trigger words.
Yes, because the Debbie and duplicate are basically the same thing for the Illustrious. It is it's an Asian woman. All the difference that is different between them is that the Debbie is a bit older, so the difference between Debbie and duplicate for the tagger is that Debbie is a mature woman, and so when you use this LoRa that contains duplicate and Debbie, it will, I think, the Debbie completely overpowered Kate, and when you try to get Kate out of this LoRa, it kinda makes the hybrid of Kate and Debbie.
Gotcha. Okay, well, guys, I hope you know that from now on, if you are training and uploading any type of Illustrious LoRa for any particular anime show, I am expecting the top 30 characters from that show to all be present in that one LoRa along with the style. That is the new that is going to be the new norm now.
I will say that the optimal number of characters to do style plus characters when we're talking about the LoRa that contains uh, both style and characters is getting 10, because when you like
So
we
how
mentioned
many when you're trying to put this many characters into a LoRa, where what does this data set look like size wise?
over 880 images.
Over 880. And did you use the same? So like, did you use like 30 images per character? Did you have like the same number that you
Yes,
used per?
yes, it's when you're making a LoRa like that, the main thing you want to keep in mind is to get pretty even numbers of pictures per character, so the one character will not overpower the entire LoRa. Because when you want style plus characters, you want for sure when you try to generate character that is not existing with the LoRa and you want to use it for a style, it for sure will resemble one of style show character. But this one, I think it's really it actually it is way better as a style LoRa than the character LoRa. But you can use something like that to, if you really want something out of Invincible, then you can use LoRa. Then I think this LoRa will really help you to get a very accurate representation of the character from the show. We've added LoRa of this particular character on top of this as a style LoRa.
Super cool, man. All right.
But those LoRas take incredible amount of time to do it, because if I want just invisible style, get 50 images, auto tagger, and you're done. And this
Damn,
was this was 800.
I'm sitting here crying about having to gather 15 images to make a Flux character LoRa, and you're sitting here going through 880 images.
Yes. This LoRa was basically a limit test, how much I can get in a single LoRa trained on site. I think so. When you are doing a multi-character LoRa, the main thing that you have to keep in mind is to make those characters don't share any as few tags as possible. Like the prime example for this is duplicate and versus Debbie. And the other thing about Invincible is that the tag of bodysuit, because of course it's a superhero show that has this superhero aesthetics that a lot of characters will get the bodysuit tag. So it again, even though I was trying to put multiple tags according to the outfit, it still confuses a lot of outfits, and outfits are absolutely not accurate in this LoRa. It will
Gotcha.
like the thumbnail that is Omni-Man, it will eventually get the correct outfit.
Gotcha. Well, Eurotaku is challenging you to do all the Dragon Ball characters in one LoRa next.
I think actually Dragon Ball does not need that, because basically every major character from Dragon Ball can pop out of Illustrious itself.
All right, ShrekMan, we're gonna wrap up here. Any final words you want to say to the people, or any closing? What are the main things you think they should remember when training a style LoRa for Illustrious?
Basically, don't keep as high variety as you can, and so if you want to some style of any particular show, avoid getting the scenes when there is the same character on the screen most of the time, because like if you have 30 to 50 images, like if you put let's use Dragon Ball as example. If you make 30 like 50 images in this LoRa, and five of them are Goku, it will not generate you an accurate Goku, but it will make every character trained with this LoRa look like kinda Goku. But so that will be, I will consider that a failure, because it not gets you an accurate Goku, and at the same time Goku overpowers the LoRa. So it's basically the worst outcome that you can get. it will be both bad style LoRa and bad character LoRa. So
You guys got that?
Basically, for style, the more variety you have, the more flexible the LoRa is. And if you want to do, and basically, the most interesting LoRas that I found for me when it comes to the style LoRas are the style LoRas that keep a particular theme, like this one that I trained. Is oil painting that keeps the theme of dark fantasy, and because of that I think it's great of doing this particular style, like dark fantasy oil painting. So I think it's the best getting the images generated from Flux, from combining different already existing style LoRa's, is a great way to make a LoRa's that won't rely on the style of any particular artist. So we can so if you may have more LoRa's like that, that is not straight up taking a show or artist style, we kind of can push back against this feeling of AI that is basically just a stealing of art, because this kind, yes, it still bases the results of the work of digital or traditional artists, but it does not replicate style of any artist in particular one to one. So I think making more style LoRa's like in this way really really makes everything look better as the final outcome, because it if of course it still takes the data, it will still have some original artist DNA in it, but it will be something kind of original,
which is super important. ShrekMan, thank you so much. You, my friend, are an illustrious legend. So, with that being said, guys, I am going to drop ShrekMan's Civitai profile into the chat. Go give him a follow. And for all of the wonderful tips and advice, make sure you tip ShrekMan some buzz. And ShrekMan, Eurotaku wants me to make sure that I tell you that you can already train using Illustrious 1.0 on our site.
Okay, I have no idea that is already live. Mm-hmm. When I have trained last LoRa, I think it was still. Eurotaku, do you mean by using it as picking a custom model, or? Yes, of course. Yes, I understand. Okay, but I'm still. This one was still trained using 0.1. It was still using 0.1, and I think it's still turned out good. I'm for sure gonna test it out, how it's gonna go when we have the 1.0 as a base model for training. Does it actually improve the quality of LoRa? I have to check this, because retraining 300 LoRa's just to make it 1.0 instead of 0.1, that will take like an entire month.
Well, I think the perfect one to start with is your invincible one, so you can see how it does.
Yes, the invincible was a great experiment, and I think it will be I have a massive data set that I can use in the future projects, because I keeping every data set in my that for every LoRa's that I have done already.
ShrekMan, you, my friend, are a legend. Always a pleasure to have you on to drop some of the illustrious sauce and to demystify some of the training myths and let everyone know how easy it can actually be. Make sure you guys go follow ShrekMan. His link to his Civitai profile is in the chat. follow him, download the models, generate with his stuff, leave him some buzz. It will only help him make even cooler stuff for you guys to use on and off the site. ShrekMan, thank you very, very much. Guys, this has been a Civitai creator session. My name is Tyler. We will be back next week, Wednesday, with Ali for office hours, Thursday for AI video and animation, or maybe LoRa hunting. And next week, Friday, we have my man Black Mixture coming on to talk about how he is venturing into AI from the perspective of a professional motion graphics artist who has been on YouTube for quite some time. So don't want to miss that one. Go make something cool over the weekend. Tag us. We are back super active on social. We just hit a bunch of milestones this week. Guys, have a wonderful weekend. We appreciate you. Go follow ShrekMan and give him a tip. Leave him buzz. Civitai.com. Peace.
There is already no need for me to give me buzz. Keep your buzz to yourself.
Give him buzz.
Not safe for work LoRa generator enough.